Hi, Stella. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Hey, Stella.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. And hi, Michael.
Hello, Adrian. How are you?
I was having some real issues getting into the Zoom. Sorry for that. What did I miss?
Nothing yet. I think we're just getting together.
Hi, you guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Lasheen, just in case you were wondering, who's this person in our Zoom meeting? I'm the city's social media and marketing coordinator, so I'm just here in the background doing all the techie stuff. So if you guys need me, I am here. I'm going to leave my camera off and my microphone off. But if you need me, I'm here. Just give me a holler.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess one question I have had, Lasheen, if it's okay to ask, is where your and Brian's territory extends to and where we begin. I guess our relationship, because the small thing I've been doing is the Instagram, couple of Instagram announcements. And I think Stella was going to take charge of Facebook, and Michael, there were two other areas, Twitter, and I can't remember the fourth. Oh, maybe the website, right?
Instagram.
Well, I've been doing Instagram for the particular Instagram account, and Stella for the Facebook page, and Michael, you've been doing a bang up job on the special website for Sister Cities. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what we're doing with Twitter, if anything, but I guess Brian has shared with me that Lasheen has a big, long array of places, like upwards of 120 maybe media outlets and things like that. And I've been trying to figure out where you leave off and we begin, or do we overlap, or how do we relate to one another?
As far as like your social media marketing efforts for Sister Cities?
Yeah, or any social media efforts. Do we have this special area carved out? Like is there only one Instagram account for Sister Cities?
I'm not sure about your pages. I just manage the city's official accounts, like the City of Charlottesville, Facebook, and the Twitter and our Instagram. I know you guys have a Facebook page, but I haven't seen any other social sites that you guys have. If you do, I'm more than willing to kind of give you guys guidance, but I personally wouldn't be posting and creating content for you unless you just wanted some guidance and some help to get started. So that's kind of where I start at, and then where you guys would pick up from.
Okay, well, that helps already. So when you say Instagram, Lasheen, and when you say Facebook and Twitter, you mean the city of Charlottesville?
Yes, the city of Charlottesville, yes.
And what we've been, okay, and so we have to my knowledge, there's just one Instagram account specifically dedicated to sister cities.
Okay.
And that would fall in our purview, kind of, this
Yes.
commission.
But I'm here if you
And-
need like helps, thinking of content ideas, if you have anything that you are sharing on your social sites that you also want us to amplify on the city sites, I'm more than willing to help share your content. So it might just be a conversation. We want to sit down and kind of discuss what your needs are and what your social strategy wants to be and how I can help you achieve those goals.
Okay. Guess we haven't really had those deep discussions yet, the three of us.
Yeah.
What
It's
our
a lot
goals
of people, they'll just.
Other than each of us kind of took a prong.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
times, a lot of departments, they'll just be like, oh, I have to be on social, and they'll create the accounts and then they don't realize that it's upkeep and it's content that you have to keep putting out, constantly to help it grow. So it's all fun and games when you're like, I want to be on social, and then you're just like, wait, we actually have to manage this. So that's where I come in to kind of help you create that strategy so it's easier going forward.
And the media list you mentioned, Adrian, is just our list of local reporters and press contacts, editors. So when you ask us to send out a press release from the city, we target them in our communications.
Okay.
But again, that's the city putting out a press release on our website. As Lasheen said, most boards and commissions are not trying to create their own websites and social accounts because it's a lot of work to build an audience and have that really be an effective, use of your time and effort. So we're always open to rebroadcasting things you want to get out there, whether it's the grant opportunity. Last year we did the survey about which Spanish speaking sister city. So those are all things that we can use the tools we already have and the audience we've already got to help you accomplish what you're trying to do as a commission.
Got it. Okay. I guess we maybe need to talk about what we want to be doing, or Michael, Stella.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that when we have news about the grants that have been accepted or approved, we should make an effort on each of those sites to try and announce that, drum up a little bit of awareness around it. As we find out information on previous grants or other things, we can, do something there. So it might be a good time to remind people about like the presentation that we saw last week, or sorry, earlier this month from Besançon, the art project. And then, we'll see how the pandemic goes, but if we are going to participate in the Festival of Cultures or other things like that locally, putting something up there. Really, I mean, looking back at the feeds, it's whatever we want to put there to tell people about our projects.
Is Twitter, do we need to worry about Twitter? Because it seems like it's not included right now in our.
It is there. It doesn't have, that account doesn't have very many followers. So it won't reach a lot of people. That said, the more content that we post on any of these channels, the more followers we will get. So I would say, if we're just doing an announcement, we should absolutely include it in the list of things that we're posting that announcement to.
But in order to use Twitter, do we need an account and a password, or?
Mhm.
It all exists already, right?
Yeah, but who has it?
It's in the document that Adrian created. with the username and passwords for Instagram and Facebook and the website
Okay.
as well. And yeah, you have to log in. You could log in through the web page at Twitter, or you could use one of the apps. And you just have to be very careful if you're already a Twitter user and you're switching between personas, that you don't do a gaffe where you accidentally post something from your personal account there, or vice versa. Probably doesn't matter as much, but yeah.
No, I don't use Twitter. That's why I
Yeah.
was asking, because I mean, with Instagram, you can add the account, Facebook too, but with Twitter, I didn't know.
It's pretty much the same as best I can tell. I haven't used Instagram before, so I'm kind of in the opposite boat. But when Adrian and I were playing around with doing a post, I created a throwaway Instagram account to look at it, and yeah, it looks similar.
Michael, would you or Stella, would either of you be willing to take on the Twitter side of things?
I'm in Twitter a lot. I'm happy to be one of many that do things there. I don't feel the need. I don't think it needs to be just me, but I'm happy to with content, post things there.
Okay, well, it would feel good that we at least have those 4 bases covered. And I know it's a little extra on your end, Michael, if you've got the website and Twitter. The Instagram feels like about as much as I could take on right now. And I mean, it wasn't a lot, but it was a bit of a learning curve for me to figure out. And thank you to you, Michael, too, for helping me with that. We probably should at some point have a little coordination where we just haven't had that much content to put out so far. But when we do, or if we do start having stuff, we'll have to figure out ways to coordinate so that maybe the same thing is going out on Facebook and Twitter and Insta. Like when we get the winners of the grants, which will be pretty soon, that would be a common piece of content that we would want to go out across the board. So some way of of making that happen most efficiently.
Okay. And then I know Kate has done some stuff with the Facebook page, but who else? I am not a Facebook person, so I'm probably not the right person to do that. But who else is working on doing Facebook updates there?
I was doing them. I
Oh.
did them for the deadline for the
Okay.
grant. Yeah, I can do that. It's not a problem.
Okay. And you were also, Stella, you were also doing some of the Instagram stuff?
The Instagram, Adrian was doing it, but I mean, if it's necessary, I mean, I think I can add another account from my phone and do that too. I mean,
Okay.
I'm happy to keep on doing it. It just feels like it would be easier for me to just think about that one place and make sure that whatever we're all agreeing we want to get out, or in my case, I was initiating some of it because it directly had to do with the grants. But I'm happy to do my best at continuing to keep the Instagram promotional material or information
Okay.
there. I'm taking some notes, and if you guys don't mind, I'll add these items to the document that Kate wanted us to update.
Yeah.
But I'll do that after we
Okay.
meet, because I can put them in more concisely that way if I give it a little bit of thought. But one of the things is I would be putting in there is which of these 4 venues, for lack or better, outlets, whatever, each of us is going to take for the moment primary responsibility for, and then that we're going to I don't know, how do we, bear with me while I just think out loud, but let's say we have some fresh content, and let's say it's the winners of the grants. And I would know that before anyone, because I'm on the grants committee too. So I would send out an email to you, Stella, and Michael together, and Lasheen and Brian, and say, here's the content we'd like to get out. And maybe it's a press release. Now that I think of it, the first thing would be a press release. And I could write that up. And then, yeah, and then that's probably the bulk of the content. And then Stella, if I have some good images, if I have images that I'm going to use for Instagram, for example, I can share them so that Michael, you could put them on the website. Stella, you could put it on Facebook. And if anyone finds any good images or good content related to that topic, share with everyone so that we can just keep kind of pumping this content to our various venues. Does that?
I think that works great. For a press release, I'd also say if we could get a page up for the 2020 through 2021 grant and project winners, and then include that link in the press release, that would be good. And then also that would be something, with Twitter, you have to be more concise. Instagram is fairly concise or very little content as well. So having that link available and live would be good for that initial press release.
Okay, I get, so you're saying the press release isn't automatically the first thing. Maybe we create this Facebook presence and then we can include it in the press release, and that makes it all the more vivid and tangible.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And what we have so far on the grants and projects page are just a 1-paragraph synopsis. I think most of those came from the actual grant or project proposal, but there's a 1-paragraph per synopsis of each, and then I've added some links to a few of them where it was kind of obvious, but that's really all we need for that page. We can just copy one of the previous ones, slap that content in there, and then publish it.
Okay, and you're talking about on the website, right? Right. Okay, and Instagram kind of boils it down. I could, certainly give the names of the 4, I don't know if there's going to be 4 winners or 3 or 5 or 6, but anyway, the narrative, the type caption can be those names. And I could do that multiple times, and each time with just one image that sort of matches, that maybe goes along with one of the projects. So yeah.
And then is there a plan to have ongoing content with the winners or the selectees of the grants and projects? Because any updates that we get from them would be good content to send out on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram to kind of remind people, these people were selected, this project was selected, and here's an update for what's happening with it.
Updates. Okay, good. Maybe we need to have, it feels a little bit fly by night at the moment. Like maybe we need to have like a monthly, I don't know if that's too often, but doesn't feel too often to me, just a monthly check-in, the 3 of us. Is there anything we know about or we can ask about to kind of update our social media info?
Can we do that, right?
In what sense?
I remember there was I don't know if it applies here, but there was the thing that if we are more than 2 people, we need to ask permission. I mean, it becomes like something that has to be public, I think.
Yeah, I think in this case, once a month, if we send out an email to just the 3 of us and we say, do we have any updates for our social media?
Okay, sure.
And each of us, if we have something, we can share it, or, hopefully there'll be one thing, even if it's a little bit kind of contrived, each month we can put something out. But definitely, I mean, we're gonna have some good solid stuff in the next month or so on these grants. So that should carry us for a while.
Mhm.
And I think the grants and projects are, particularly while we're all quarantined, is probably the most of the content that we'll have. I mean, there's no festivals going on, there's no Fridays after 5, there's no things going on locally. We could see if there's stuff going on in the sister cities to kind of share awareness of how things are going there. I know
Well,
early
that's a
on
great idea.
last year, somebody posted an article, I think on Twitter, about how Besançon was handling the pandemic. But I haven't seen much since then, so.
I think that's a wonderful idea. You know, if it's news from one sister city per month, or if it's news from each of the 4 per month, I mean, that would be a nice, that's the work Lasheen was talking about, like digging into it. But, you know, I could look to you, Stella, for that for Pojo. We could ask Elizabeth for Besançon, et cetera. Is Dave the representative for Winneba? Do I could find out who.
Believe so. I know he's tightly related to it. I know that.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's part of our the stuff we put on this Google Doc is also that we're going to make a request that once a month the representatives give us a little content that we can get out there
Mm.
about the sister
This is
city.
Kina. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Nana Garty is supposed to be the representative for Winneba. I know
Oh,
he and Dave are in contact, but I hadn't talked to Nana recently, so he is the official person on the roster.
And I think that he was in Winneba, wasn't he? And had
Yes,
come back last month or this month.
yes.
Okay, that's right.
yeah, I remember that, Kina. Thank you. I remember now Dave telling us that at the last meeting. And then who do you think would Kate be the main liaison person for Weiwei? I guess I can ask her.
I'm not sure about that, actually. I was thinking Joan was heavily involved with that as well, so that's probably something to discuss at an upcoming meeting.
And who is Joan again? Is she
Joan
one of our?
Clutch? She, I know
Oh,
she
is she
took
the
the
woman
lead.
who was at our last meeting?
I actually wasn't at that meeting, but Joan kind of spearheaded getting the Spanish-speaking sister city public input.
Great. Did you say her last name was Clark?
Yes.
Okay, she was there, and she was the one person I wasn't sure who she was, so that helped.
Okay.
And I got in later something that maybe I missed her introduction.
Okay.
Well, I think we have some good things to put on our Google Doc here, and
Mhm.
I did take some live notes in the link that the subcommittee meeting minutes. So Adrian, if you, as you take your written ones and try and consolidate them in, feel free to modify, edit, whatever, anything in there.
again, Michael, where are you putting that you just
The link
did?
that Kate
The
sent
notes?
out, in the email, she sent an email out.
Oh, you have been putting something in there as we speak?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
I wanted to also show you the release candidate for the website updates. I added in the 2018 through 2019 and 2019 through 2020 projects. If you go to the chat, there's a direct link there. You note it has the weird site revision equals 128 at the end.
Gotcha. What is a release candidate?
So basically, only people that have this link actually see it. If you were to go to the
Oh.
main Charlottesville Sister Cities webpage, you wouldn't see those pages yet.
So
It's a
this
way
is
of
like
kind
a
of-
draft that we
Yeah.
just have private access to?
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
and you can only do one at a time. So once if it looks okay, I'll go ahead and hit publish, and then as we come up with more content, you can kind of, we type it in there, you save it, and then before we publish it, create a release candidate to make sure that we've caught the typos, it looks okay, and then we can hit publish.
Are you wanting us to take a look at it right now or when we're done?
Or after this meeting is fine.
Okay,
Just
I
let
just
me
saw
know.
one little thing while I'm looking at it. It
Oh,
looks like it's missing the word "to." 4 lines down on the first paragraph.
Which page?
The only one that comes up when I press that link.
Oh, okay. All right, let me see. 4 lines down.
Oh, no, my mistake. I read it wrong. Never mind.
Okay. All right, yeah, so that's the main page.
read-
And if you go to grants and projects up at the top, you'll see there's 2 new subpages there.
Gotcha. Oh, nice. Is there text in all 3 of them?
Yes.
Oh, that looks so much better, Michael. Like it looks that it presents that we really have this ongoing grant program, and here are the projects.
Right.
That's
And
really
if
nice.
you get updates from some of these projects, which we can reach out to a few of them and see, kind of what have they done, or do they have any pictures, or obviously the pandemic threw a wrench in a lot of this stuff, but we can put some updates underneath each project,
And they would provide all kinds of content for
Mhm.
getting stuff out.
yeah, I mean, ideally for something like what we're doing here, we're providing money and a central sponsorship for a lot of these programs, but like Stacy, Evans did with the visual arts thing we saw at our last meeting, she's the grant produces the content, and maybe that's some sort of art thing, or it's a readout of what the cross-cultural exchange did, and then we can link to that to kind of show here's what the money funded.
Right. And I feel like, and this kind of has a foot in the grants committee, but I feel like we ought to invite / encourage the grant recipients to provide us with information that, not only did they win this grant money, but we want to promote our grants program. And so if you're a recipient, we look to you to give us some material that we can, not only promote you and your accomplishment, but promote the program in general, and also promote if your grant project leads to you having a special event like Stacy's exhibit at Second Street Gallery, for example, or whatever spin-offs might result from these grant projects, we want to hear about it, because we'll help promote them too.
Right.
It's like a circle of, yeah.
And then
Well, I will look at this.
reminded me, the other place that we should send any press releases would be the local news. So the one button that we have here right now, the in the news, goes directly to a search for Charlottesville 29, NBC 29. So, if we send them content, or if we send stuff over to Daily Progress, or other places and they publish it, then we can link to them, to those news stories.
Now you lost me. Isn't that, what's the link, the button you said about pressing, where's that?
Up at the top, sort of towards the top of every page, there's a big orange button that says in the news. It's right above the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter icons.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, that goes to a search on NBC 29 site to say, what are things that have the words, was it Charlottesville Sister Cities or Sister Cities in it? But as we do a press release saying, hey, we've done, we've chosen these projects to give grants to, we can send that press release over to NBC 29 as well. And they may write up a little blurb, or they may publish it on their site to say, this is what's going on locally. And you can see, if you click on in the news, it'll take you over to their site. Somebody sent over a press release to them to say that we had made progress with Weiwei back before the end of the year in December. So now there's a news story about Charlottesville having another sister city.
So there's where I feel a little bit of confusion about when we generate that content and directly to those news outlets, and when we give that content to Lasheen and she does that. Like,
So Lasheen, I mean, I would.
are we speaking directly?
It's up to you guys. So you can reach out directly to the media, ask Brian for the list and send it out, or if you want the city to, or if you want to type up a press release and then send it to Brian or me to add to our city website and send it out to the media, we can do that as well. So it's really up to you.
Okay. And I guess, Michael, you're pointing out there's a certain ease, given that the website you've created here has already on it, it has this capacity.
Right, yeah. And typically we would, I mean, I'm thinking for at least for the grants and projects announcements, that's pretty much the same content that's going to everybody. We're just trying to blast it out. To say, hey, these got approved and here's what's going on with them. Kind of the way the Weiwei announcement is. So as things get finalized with Weiwei, we might do another one about that. But then some of the smaller stuff, like here's what's going on in Pojoaicano, might just be on the social media, Instagram, Facebook kind of pages, because that's not really a NBC 29
Gotcha.
something that the city website might want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does anyone know if there's a press release from the last round of grant awards that I could take a look at to see how it was written last time?
I don't know. Amanda and Damon have been helping me find the language that I put in here for which ones got funded. So I would say start with the grants committee and
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I think I'll whatever notes I add to Michael's, they'll just be on that Google Doc for all of us to access when as we want. do we think we have concluded?
I'm just typing up the last couple of minutes of conversation. I don't know if I have anything else. Alrighty.
Yeah, we will sign off and I guess just leave me in for the next group.
Right. I'm gonna hold on for just a minute until
Okay,
the folks from Weiwei come on and see if they have any other announcements.
to put out there.
Yeah.
Could you, Michael, would you then send to Stella and me if there's anything we should
Mhm.
be getting into our venues?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep, you can also clarify who's going to be the lead on that.
oh, right, the rep,
Mhm.
yep. Well, thank you, Lasheen, thank you, Brian, too, and we'll see you the next time around.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Stella. Bye, Adrian.
Bye.
Hello.
Hi, Kate.
Hi. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Oh, doing well, thanks. Michael, are you here for the Weiwei meeting?
I am not, but I stuck around for a minute to ask you a question, which is
What's up?
who's the representative, the member representative?
What was that?
Who is the member representative for Weiwei from us?
We don't have one yet. That hasn't been determined. I'm not sure of, maybe Kina, maybe you know, with the friendship, like maybe that's something I need to, if it's a friendship city or a propose, like they're not officially a friendship city yet until we send that letter from our city manager. And I think we're waiting on that until our new city manager is
Mm-hmm.
in their position. So I would say we currently do not have a city rep for that city. And I wouldn't imagine we would until at the very least the friendship aspect is finalized. So great question though. I mean, that is something for us to consider.
I was looking at the list and seeing that I think Jane's name was, Joan was next. She was Plevin.
Yes.
And with that transitioning, whether she would be the contact for that or if someone else is taking the lead
Yeah.
on the friendship.
She should be here for this meeting, as should Dave. So if she comes to this session for the Weiwei committee, something we could bring up. I haven't heard too much from her on that issue with anything related to Weiwei in a while, so I'm not sure. But
Okay.
But she might be. She was in charge. So for when we were setting up this Spanish-speaking sister city committee, she was technically the lead on that. So might be a good fit. we'll see. But yes, Mm, hopefully they come in here. I know that the meeting was supposed to start now, so yeah, we'll see.
All right, we'll give them a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna work here for a few. If they show up, then I will jump on in.
And one more question, who did the press release for Weiwei to NBC 29 back in December? Was that you, Kate, or?
That was Damon, I believe.
Okay.
Damon was the guy who, might have been Brian. Like, I'm assuming Brian wrote the press release, Brian
Okay.
Wheeler. But Damon was the person who was interviewed from our commission for that. But
Okay,
yeah, I would imagine Brian Wheeler wrote the press release, though.
okay.
Yeah. And then Michael, we'll see you back here at 6:45 for finance.
Yep.
Setting up a budget.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Kate, sorry I'm late. I got hung up with something else.
Oh, it's cool. You have missed nothing. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I don't know if Joan responded to the original email about this, but hopefully she jumps in here. So let's see here. Let's talk. Weiwei.
Wait.
So I know that we're gonna wait on the new city manager for sending out the letter, so we've got a little bit of time. I know his position starts on the 15th. So that being said, we have a little bit of time to draft that, but yeah, should be pretty straightforward. I'm imagining, and this might be, I know that in the application from Jordan, the original one, that they had the information for government folks and Wayway. Not sure if that's changed since. I reached out to Jordan and Kelly to see if they knew of any changes, and I haven't heard anything. So I don't know.
You said you haven't heard anything, or they haven't?
I haven't heard anything from them. So I don't know, I'll touch base with them again and see if maybe they know of anything. I mean, I would have to assume that since, because they applied for Wayway to be a friendship city like, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. So I have a feeling that there might be some turnover there. So might be good, I think, and bring up the note-taking form, but for today, let's see here. Doop, 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 doop. But that being said, might be a good idea for us to figure that out, which is a little tricky. But let's see. I'm gonna write this in the notes.
It was interesting. One of the, you may have seen one of the grant applications we received was from a group with Code Seville, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Hoping to help Wayway create a online presence of some sort so that to facilitate communication. So we don't have to guess who the right contact people are down there for things.
Right. No, that's awesome. And that, I mean, that in itself might help us out a lot as we're trying to get this
Right.
connection settled. I think that was a timely grant. Who wrote that?
Well, it was Anson Parker was the primary contact person, but he worked with Kelly Epley at Ishitan, and he and some folks from Code Seville. So obviously we don't want to assume yet that the grant's going to be awarded, but I thought it was an interesting proposal at least. So.
Yeah, no, that would certainly be something interesting to consider. Yeah, some of those grants are really great. I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be super helpful. I don't know the internet situation in Wayway, or if
I don't either. Yeah.
so it's hard. Like, I've really tried to Google information about their, I don't know, just anything about their government, and it's been really, really hard. So
I mean, the same is true of Winneba. Like, there's really virtually nothing online about Winneba's local government either. I think that's just sort of the way things are in much of the developing world. You know, they don't necessarily have city web pages for every locality, and just hasn't been a priority, or they don't have the infrastructure to maintain it or build it. So
yeah.
But you know, that's some value that we can add to the sister city relationship, then maybe that's a good thing to pursue. So.
For sure. And I think the Building Goodness Foundation, they do a lot of work with Wayway too. Is that correct?
Right, exactly.
So they might be a good organization to reach out to as well. They might have some knowledge about this as well. I don't know, I mean, with COVID and stuff, I don't know if there's any sort of work even going on there right now.
It's a good question. I sort of doubt it.
Too.
But unless they've continued to do work, like Ishitan, I think still does work, not necessarily with folks coming down from Charlottesville, but they still support work that's happening on the ground.
Right.
In Wayway. But I don't think Building Goodness has been down there in a long time, thanks to COVID. So
yeah. So maybe, I mean, we can, if it's cool with you, I don't know, you're not on the education committee, are you, for the next one, or no?
No.
Was this your only one today? No.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes. my lucky day. How long is this one? How long is this one supposed to go till?
It's 45 minutes, but honestly, I mean, thinking about what we need to just talk about, I think we just need to set just a clear objective of what we need to do between now and when the new city manager is hired, and also, or starting, but also like understanding that his first plan of action is probably not to send this letter to Weiwei. So, but
Right.
maybe making a goal for us, and we can include Jonan on this too, but just drafting that proposal with
yeah.
our new city manager's name, and we can put that in a shared doc and just work on it. It doesn't need to be anything phenomenal, but just something stating our intentions and
Yeah, a copy of the resolution. Yeah.
yeah, and just I'm imagining some information about Charlottesville and just,
Right.
you know,
Right.
doesn't matter what city. And as well, so doing that, but also confirming, and maybe doing this first, confirming with either the Ishtatam Foundation or Building Goodness or Kelly, so Kelly came to that city council meeting. He's a part of the Ishtatam Foundation. He kind of took over Jordan's role.
Right. And he's former executive director of Building Goodness. So.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's good to know. So he might I haven't heard back from them yet, but they would know, or they would know someone who knows who exactly to address that letter to.
Right.
So I can get on that. In fact, I can do that after we're done talking here. I can just resend them that email and say, hey, do you have any updates on that? And then once we have that, we can draft that letter. And I'm imagining it's not like a digital thing, like we'd actually send them a thing.
Right. I would think so. Yeah.
So
that would make sense.
So information about Charlotte. So would it be like a brochure? Would it be like?
That's a good question. We used to have like fact sheets about the city. I don't know if they still have anything like that. But if you want, I can dig around and see if I can find just some sort of basic information about Charlottesville that we could send them. Like the Chamber of Commerce or the Tourism Bureau used to have Charlottesville fact sheets, but I'll look around and see what we have, or it might be on the city's website. Who knows? So, but I'll take care of that. So.
Thanks. I'll get on who to send this to directly, and then we can just draft this letter. It can be really simple, and I don't believe Weiwei has any sister cities, so this would be.
So maybe include some information on what a sister city is,
Right.
so we can get
See you tomorrow.
we can get some boilerplate stuff from Sister Cities International about what sister cities are.
Yeah, I wonder. We've been talking with Fred, who's the guy who.
Oh yeah.
For the Sister Cities of Virginia. I wonder if he sent us a bunch of I think I sent them to you, sort of the templates that other cities have used. I'm sure, I can look at the Sister Cities website, but he might have something.
That'd be great.
A document that we could include with that as well.
Do you want to reach out to Fred, or I don't know Fred.
I can do that for sure.
Okay.
I can hear some Duolingo happening in the background there.
That is me. Let me mute.
It's cool. I love Duolingo. Great app.
So there is another issue I wanted to bring up, and it doesn't necessarily have to get discussed today, but I think we need to have sort of a strategic discussion on who is going to kind of own the development of this sister city partnership. And it's been done different ways over the years with different sister cities. And I don't know that there's a right or wrong way, but I think we need to decide, is this something that we're going to be looking to Ishtatam, for instance, to take the lead on? Is this something that this committee is going to take the lead on? Is it something the Sister City Commission as a whole is going to take the lead on? But I just feel like with Winneba, we had a active group almost from the beginning of people who weren't on the Sister City Commission per se, but really wanted to see this thing succeed. And that group ended up becoming its own 501c3 foundation, whose sole purpose is to support this sister city partnership. That's the only one of our sister cities that has a group like that in place. And so other cities have been supported just through ad hoc, measures, or in the case of Besançon, obviously we have Alliance Française that's been supportive, but they don't necessarily own it, but they've been very supportive, if that makes any sense. So it's just something, again, we don't have to decide that today or even discuss it today, but I think it's something we should probably clarify early on in this process, just so there's no like duplication of effort or confusion about who's going to be doing what or leading what, or does that make sense? I don't know.
It does. So the question is, who owns this partnership?
Yeah,
It-
and maybe it's just a collaboration from the beginning, and
Because I mean, I see it as an Ishtatam Foundation sort of
right,
baby. Like they
Right.
already have a really solid partnership there.
Right.
They proposed this to us.
exactly.
They're doing a lot of work already. Like, let
Right.
us, like this seems like a great partnership that they already have.
Right.
Good. So
Yeah.
that's something we can throw at Kelly for sure. Like allow him to like invite him to some of our meetings
Right, exactly.
and allow that partnership to sort of settle in. Because he knows a lot about Weiwei,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
we know very little, but want to know more. Is
Yep.
for
And honestly, I think that would be the best outcome, is if they would kind of take the lead and with our support and collaboration, but I'm not sure that they know that we're even open to that idea. So
right.
I agree with you in terms of inviting Kelly to one of these meetings so we can kind of just brainstorm
Yeah.
what this could look like. So,
So maybe I don't know. I have to reach out to him anyway just to get some
Right.
information on government stuff. But maybe we can invite him to our next one of these,
That'd be great. Yeah,
or we could even like schedule a like just a set meeting in some month. Like in other months, we're gonna have Zoom times available that we can use. But I'd say like it's kind of nice we have this buffer time right now, like with
Mhm.
everything. But I think like come March or April, that could be a really good time for us to start like really nailing things down, and also considering these grant opportunities as well, where folks are interested in making this really work, especially with the internet connectivity. That's gonna be a huge thing to help support these partnerships, at least in the next year. So
yeah.
cool.
Sounds
Well,
good.
Well, that being said, you do not need to hang out here
All
for
right.
another 30 minutes staring at the screen. So, the next one's at 6 for the education committee. And then you're coming to the grants meeting on February 9th?
I'll be there.
Sweet. Awesome. Well,
Very
thanks.
good. Well, thank you for everything you're doing, Kate. And be in touch.
I'll see you soon.
Have a good night.
Night. Hey,
Okay.
how's it going?
Oh, going all right.
Good. Oh man,
How about you?
good, good. Staying busy, but having fun. It's been good. We had a pretty short meeting, just Dave and I, and we just made some plans for sort of leading up and maybe including the Each to 10 Foundation in with some of our meeting stuff. So yeah.
Cool.
And then, yeah.
I saw that one of the grant proposals was way focused. That's good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see how those all turn out. So yeah, that'll be super fun. All right. I am happy to keep track of anything we discuss in this session. I know we have that note-taking form. So happy to jot down anything that comes up or that we wish to share with the group at large. Yeah, so welcome. Hey.
Hello. I was trying to remember who else sits on this committee.
I believe
Can you
Joan
tell
is
me,
on,
Damon? Joan? Okay.
Joan is on this committee. And
That might be it.
might be. That seems about right. Yeah. Yeah. So welcome all. Let's talk. So let's see here. Yes, first off, any updates? Elizabeth, have you been able to chat with any folks in Besançon about anything they're doing or
You
anything
know, I sent out an email in the fourth quarter of last year to the woman who had been placed as the deputy for essentially for Sister Cities, and asked specifically for her to put me in touch with the person who should be my contact.
Mhm.
And I have had no reply. So I have a follow-up email drafted for her. And I have someone on the ground in France who is going to help me with communication or contact if I don't receive a reply.
Okay. Awesome.
So I don't have any, frustratingly, sadly, I have not actually had communication directly with whoever is supposed to be my sort of counterpart there in the mayor's office. But you know, never fear, I will eventually.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing all that work to try to connect. I know everything, I feel like it's really hard right now when we're all virtual and
Mm-hmm.
things aren't going great in France either. So I'm sure that it's been really difficult for folks to
Yeah.
continue with this. But I have full faith that you will find that person. It's going to happen.
I will. I'll find the person. Don't worry.
Well, great.
The other thing that has a little bit of bearing perhaps on our education subcommittee meeting is just that I had listed in my goals for 2021 that as I'm continuing to reach out and sort of make connections and build bridges back with our various partners in town, it is on my to-do list now that January is here to reach out to the individual folks at the area schools where we do exchanges. And just introduce myself and find out what conversations are going on in their school settings about renewing the educational exchanges. My guess at this point is that there will not be educational exchanges in 2021 as we had hoped, but I will find out, and I'll make sure that I know who are the ongoing contact people in the city schools, the 2 high schools that we have ongoing educational exchanges with, and at least one independent school in town where there are Besançon exchanges. And so I know who the players are. I just haven't gotten that far down on my to-do list yet, but that's on the horizon.
Elizabeth, if you need help connecting with anyone at CHS, I can help you with that too.
Wonderful. Well, I know that Will Cook has been very involved. And I also know that engineering guy,
Matt Shields, I
thank
think.
you, Matt Shields, of course,
Yeah.
has had his own, exchange through the Bacon Club. I mean, through, so if there are others that you think I should be in touch with, please text me or send me an email and I'll reach out to them as well.
Yes, if you're able to send me your number in the chat or something, maybe.
Sure.
That would be great. And then I do have somebody else in mind that I can text to you.
Wonderful. All right, you want my cell number and my email, or?
That'd be great. I probably can find your email on the all, committee email, but if you want to put it in there, I'll just
Okay.
put them both in my contacts. Yeah, it's been kind of rough to get exchanges going in this environment, but
Yeah. Well, speaking of Matt Shields, I don't know if I've talked with you guys about this before. I worked on a proposal with Matt Shields to do a ISS downlink. So having the ISS communicate with students in Charlottesville as well as students in all of our sister cities. And Matt and I submitted our proposal
cool.
to NASA at was December 1st that we submitted, and they said that we should hear in January, which is quickly ending, so we'll see. But the proposal specifically, Matt, if you know Matt, like he's great at, he knows everybody. So we got in contact with the Virginia Film Festival, and they're willing to partner with us on this. So it'll actually be an ISS downlink if it goes through, and if we are able to go to the Paramount, it would be an event for local students and any of our participating, like any sister city can join in virtually. It'll be an event open to schools in our area for students to come down and watch the astronauts on the ISS interact and ask questions in real time. And for any of our sister city participants, we would get a recording of them asking the question, and they would be able to watch through the live stream their questions asked and answered live with the astronauts. So it's a pretty solid proposal. We had the Virginia Film Fest and the Paramount agree to it, and they wrote down all the requirements for the audiovisual stuff that the downlink folks needed. But I will let you guys know if that goes through. Our proposal was for October during the Film Fest. It was hopefully going to be an event that would be hosted by it was hosted by the Virginia Film Fest, but a sister cities event within the Film Fest. So, but it would be a great educational opportunity and a great STEM program for sister cities as well. So I'll keep you guys posted. I was hoping to hear back from them by now, but I know that everything is a little slower because of everything. So
that sounds great.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So for example, if there are students in our sister cities who do want to submit questions, but they're non-English speaking, will there be, are you all talking about provisions for interpreters or?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't know, I know that right now we have, it also depends too on the languages that are spoken by the astronaut, so that'll be a whole thing there. But yes, absolutely, there would be interpreters. And so for the questions from the students abroad would be pre-recorded, so that we were thinking of the logistics, because there are ways to have students participate live within that space, but thinking of the Paramount and thinking of how would we set that up? Would we have like a giant screen with the astronauts and another giant screen with kids on the, so thinking of the logistics, it seemed a little bit easier to just get these pre-recorded. And maybe making a challenge, like a challenge within all of our sister cities. Any age group can think of really great questions to ask astronauts. The application really stressed pushing a theme. They really like themes. So the theme was international partnerships, within our sister cities and then on the ISS. Really challenging our students in our sister cities to come up with questions related to teamwork, collaboration, international partnerships, and the challenges they face on the ISS with regard to, you know, doing studies when you might not speak the same language or have the same cultural customs, and you know, almost making it like a contest, but also just like, you know, a challenge for students to come up with it. And hopefully we'll get a wide age range and, you know, students from each of our sister cities to participate. So that'd be really cool.
Hey, I also wondered if it would be possible with that to include some students outside of engineering, because I know one of our goals was like making sure that we're appealing to underrepresented students. And I thought about like, it could be cool to get students from world languages, because they could probably incorporate, you know, they're doing a lot of comprehensible input and things like that. And they could probably do something about the International Space Station or something to lead up to it, or even including our students from AVID or something like that, just if that's a possibility.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, if we do get approved to do this, I think, you know, as a committee, I don't know when we're supposed to meet again, probably early summer when we would meet again, but really, you know, either then or maybe a little bit before then, really coming up with a plan of like, who are we reaching out to? Like, what's the best way to go about doing this? But I totally agree. Like looking at, you know, this isn't just targeting, you know, the engineering students. It's like everybody, and really making sure that we, you know, invite a wide range of students from our area, and that, you know, language is not a barrier, that, you know, anyone who wants to participate in this is able to. So yes.
That would be cool. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, we had to come up with a contingency plan if, you know, things are still all, you know, if we can't actually go to the Paramount, in which case that would, you know, it would be a virtual event, which, you know, makes it more accessible to people as long as they have internet. Yeah, so I think let's wait until we hear back from the folks at NASA. And if it's a go, we can totally plan it out. It should be kind of fun.
Yeah, that might be a good way to accomplish some of our goals without coming up with something else from scratch right now.
Yes. Oh, I agree, Neely. That's a great idea for sure. And it's certainly like it opens up the possibility of, like, I think of the Festival of Cultures, which is a really great community event. And we can totally, I think that there's a lot of great educational opportunities that lie within that event. And I know that it didn't happen last year, and it's something that our commission financially supports. We sponsor them for about I think it's $500 each year, and we have a table set up there, and it's a great opportunity. And like, I don't know what's going to happen this year, but typically it's in May. But that could also be an opportunity for us to connect with the community as well on that front. I know it's a pretty big thing usually, but again, it's hard to know what May's going to look like. So.
Yeah, I know it's sooner than we realize.
I know.
So I'm kind of worried about that. It might not happen in person, but
I know, or like coming up with an alternative, like, you know, it would be cool to come up with something where we are connecting on these issues of, you know, appreciating different cultures. And, you know, it's something that, I don't know, because everything is so virtual now, we're able to see people and interact with folks from around the world, like sometimes more easily now because we're so used to this Zoom thing. But I don't know, creating something too if that doesn't happen.
yeah, it would be cool even just to get a class from one of our sister cities to, you know, do a Zoom with, you know, our students in world languages or something, just something like that even.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, let's see.
I think first of all, I love the space idea. I think that's something that anyone could find interesting. And just a note for everyone, and some you may have all already looked at them, but there are some really interesting grant proposals that we have that connect to students. And that might well, even though they might not spring from us specifically, they're education related or definitely connect to education. You know, I don't know which ones we're going to ultimately decide to fund, but there are some other nice opportunities out there coming from our community. And, you know, I don't know about you all, but I certainly don't possess all the ideas, and nor do any of us. So I think we can definitely, hopefully, pull on some of the ideas that are out there.
I love the idea of trying to meet our own subcommittee goals by partnering with, you know, initiatives that might already be sort of brewing. You know, I think that's a great, you know, since we are trying to do this under such constraints, right? And so many of us are new, like me, to the commission at all. I think in this first year, if we can really pull off some partners, some collaborations, and some events, you know, sort of meet multiple needs, you know, multiple ends with, you know, one kind of program that's a very efficient use of our time, since we, you know, just don't have the freedom to be out doing as much as we might otherwise be able to do.
Definitely. Then we don't have to necessarily drum up the demand either. It kind of already exists. There's a need for that.
Damon, is there a way for commission members to be able just to review the grant applications that have come in?
Sure. Yeah. If you have the link to the main Charlottesville Sister Cities Commission Google Drive, they're all located in there.
Okay, great. So maybe
just click on the 2020-2021 grants page, and you should have them
visible. Great. So we could, you know, so Neely and I, for example, could just particularly take a look at the ones that might involve, it looked like they might involve school age participants, school age kids. Great.
Yeah, it's under the grants material folder, just so you know.
And
I wanted to, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to bring forward to the subcommittee today a follow-up from our general meeting a couple weeks ago, last week, whenever that was, and Stacy's presentation. You know, the art, at least one of the art collaborations that she facilitated was between art students at CHS and art students at one of our sister schools in Besançon. And I wondered if there is a way that, you know, that we could, I just wanted to bring forward whether or not we think there is something that we could try to create follow-up around that would, you know, we could build on that in some way to try to meet one of our own goals here. There's already this collaboration that was established. There's interesting mural project that came out of it. As best as I could tell, the project was never put on exhibition in Besançon. So that's something to follow up about. But I also wondered if in a way we could talk about or find a way to see how that addresses our third goal when we met last time, which was trying to engage students in enunciating what they see as their connection or their relationship to a sister city, our connection between our cities. So that, you know, there's some seeds of that already laid. And I just wanted to toss that out as something that we might be able to continue to build on, flesh out a little bit, capitalize on, since, you know, since it might make sense to try to do that. I don't know what thoughts you have about that. I'm not being very articulate here, but hopefully getting my message across a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds good. Do you know who, I had not heard of that project happening. Do you know who that was they collaborated with in the city?
Jennifer, they collaborated with Jennifer Maldonian.
Oh, yes,
last name?
yes. Yeah, she's wonderful. Okay.
The art instructor at CHS.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think if we looped her back in, that would definitely be a cool way to meet that goal.
Mm-hmm. Or even to build on it and to create some new initiatives. You know, it might be that and she would have had contact. I can get this information from Stacy. She would have had contact with an art instructor in the high school in Besançon that partnered. And so, you know, it might be about building on that and seeing if a new crop of students are interested in continuing to contribute to some kind of a mural project or some kind of an art project that is about the talking back and forth between our communities. What's kind of cool about our two communities is that I don't know if this is quite the same with our other sister cities, but there are so many similarities between Charlottesville and Besançon. It's kind of eerie. And so there's loads of ways to expand on that, you know, figuring out how to sort of create cross-cultural context for how the two cities relate to one another and how, you know, kids or school students in both of those cities can continue to build on those partnerships.
Yeah, that's great. I can kind of see that happening, like if we reconnect with Jen Mildoni and kind of let her, you know, figure out what her, how that could fit with what she's doing this year.
Yeah.
And she'd be interested. She's so creative. She'll have ways to kind of, like you said, figure out how to build upon what they.
And I'm, since that involved are obviously the French sister city, I'm happy to be the point person just to reach back out. And
Yep.
I'll see if Stacy would like to continue to be involved in a volunteer capacity in some way to help with that. How does that sound to the committee?
Sounds
love
great.
That's great.
I do know that we might want to, you know, extend the opportunity to the other sister city reps as well, and we can talk about that if we do, but at the very least, I can try to build on that collaboration that already occurred with our Besançon sister city.
Yeah, that would be great. I guess we do need to, I mean, we do have a, it is important to keep that in mind, you know, like the other sister cities as we plan. I need to not forget to do that. But hopefully, like Damon said, like when we look at the grant applications, hopefully some good things came out. Some good proposals that involve education.
I think a lot of these do. And especially thinking too, I don't know, I was considering, you know, our new Friendship City or soon to be Friendship City, and thinking of how many Spanish programs, like the point of that Friendship City in the first place was that it was encouraged by Spanish teachers in Charlottesville. So really thinking of the educational connections that could be made there. And I've chatted with Dave in our Way meeting before this about maybe making our connection with the Ishtatan Foundation a little more formal so that they could be involved in this process, because one of the issues is finding a really efficient way to connect with folks in Wayway, especially school-age students. So finding ways where we can connect with them either virtually, or if not virtually, then, you know, maybe through, I don't know, letters or through art or through whatever, but really coming up with a great way to foster that educational partnership, because the point of that partnership was an educational one in the first place. And so really, you know, maybe even like inviting some Spanish teachers from the area in on a conversation with us about how, like, what do you want from this partnership? We're here to support that and foster that. What would be the type of projects or things you'd want to do with your students with the city? So
yeah, I've got a Spanish teacher in mind who might want to participate in that. She's very creative with that. But yeah, that would be great for our whole team.
So maybe we could, I don't know. I think it's at this point in the school year, I mean, as a teacher, I know that the rest of the year is a little bit of a train wreck, but at the end of the year, it'd be a really great time for us. Maybe, oh man, what if it was like almost like a professional development type thing where we offered, like, or we had some sort of like, you know, hour or two, you know, available for, you know, Spanish teachers within the region to chat with us about what do you want with this? How can we support you? How can we make this work with, you know, state standards, with the curriculum, with your educational goals? Maybe like we make a flyer and we, you know, put it out there of like, how can we help you, and how can you help? Like, so I think it would be really beneficial. So
That's a
maybe,
good idea. I definitely could offer at least PD points in the city for any teachers who want to participate, and maybe they could voluntarily, you know, participate maybe early summer. I know I have a few other things at that time, but they could voluntarily participate at that time, and you know, I could at least give them points for participating.
yeah, if you wanted to do that, like if that's something you can offer, that'd be, I mean, it doesn't need to be like a huge thing, but like, you know, maybe, I don't know. I think it's something that we could get together before the end of this school year and
Mhm.
have it be something available to teachers, you know, for a day, like either over the summer or like right before the next school year starts, but it's some way to sort of really get that going and really get some ideas together. Because I know that right now trying to organize teachers is going to be really difficult with everything. So
Yeah, it's going to be tough during the beginning of the summer too, just because we have like curriculum work and that lasts like 3 weeks, and then we
right.
summer school is just nonstop. But
So it could be like a July, August thing.
yeah,
Then. Like we're about to start the school year, and we really would love your ideas and input so that we can build this for you and like help, you know, connect you with teachers in Wayway. And who knows, maybe, since that's pretty far off, maybe we can actually connect with some teachers in Wayway and include them in on that conversation.
ooh, that would be great. Yeah, I think if we aim for like later summer, like you said, that would be, because everything would have calmed down from the summer school and curriculum work, and people are like in a headspace where they can think again about this kind of thing. Yeah, that would be really cool to have both parties there.
I'm looking at the Ishtown Foundation too, and they might know teachers in that area as well.
Because I know when I've sent teachers like our grant proposal application, a lot of times they're like, I want to fill this out, but I don't even know what I should like propose, you know? And so like getting together with other people helps get those ideas, you know, kind of flowing. And
Totally.
if we had some examples of things that have been done in the past, sometimes people need that to get started.
Right. Right.
So just to clarify, in case I'm not as, you know, just to clarify, you're talking about polling some of the Spanish language teachers in the schools in town about how the Sister City Commission can best assist them about what the needs might be for educational exchanges, or just in general introducing them to the sister city and finding out what kinds of what kinds of student projects or student exchanges they might be interested in trying to set up with our new Friendship City. If I got that more or less accurate. Okay.
Yeah. So something where I think, I don't know, I think that'd be a great opportunity, especially since this whole idea for Friendship City was proposed by Spanish teachers, you know, creating this sort of cohort of teachers over the course of like a couple hours or a half day or whatever of like, what can, like, you know, what do we want this partnership to look like on the educational front, and like giving them, you know, sort of giving them the floor to talk about what could they do, what ideas can we generate with this, and what type of partnership, like what would they want the partnership to be for their own classroom, and how could they make that work? Something like that.
That might even like help give them some ideas for proposals to write.
I think it'd be a great way for us to sort of throw at the end, like we have a grant program, like if you have it, like if something in here requires money or funding, like great opportunity to write a grant. So,
yeah, because it's hard sometimes, like just being on this side of education, like when you come up with an event or a thing you want to do, and then you're trying to like, convince teachers or market it to them, and like it's kind of the square peg round hole situation. Whereas if they come up with like what they really want to do and how it fits into their actual curriculum, then it's not you kind of trying to make it work. And that's sometimes what happens with the grant proposals. Even like I was meeting with somebody last year who had a cool proposal, but like no teacher really wanted to participate in it. And I'm trying to like sell it and help out with that, but it didn't fit into their curriculum. So it felt like an aside. You know how it is in teaching. It feels like an aside. You already have a million things to do. You don't have time to take something else on and make it fit. So I think that helps to get them to own it and come up with it.
Totally. I think that, yeah. I think it's something that we can totally, like, at some point, whatever our next meeting is as a subcommittee, could be a great opportunity for us to spend that time, or part of that time, really thinking about how we would want to structure something like that. And, if it's a half-day event, like topics of discussion, activities, or discussion points to work from, so that we can build this. And yeah, I think it would be cool.
So it looks like we kind of have 3 major things in the work, like the space station, hopefully, the art, hopefully collaboration, and then this idea. And then maybe like some other grant opportunities will help us out with reaching our goals.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, and those grants, so Damon, it's February 9th that the grants are being, the applications are being discussed.
Right. Mhm. Yep. And
So,
that is an open meeting. If anyone wants to attend or just listen, you're more than welcome. And like we mentioned earlier, the proposals are out there for you all to see if you're interested in learning a little bit more. I haven't read each one word for word, but there's a very nice kind of executive summary that gives an overview.
Great.
Which,
How many did we ultimately get? How many proposals?
7,
total?
I believe.
Oh, good.
Right?
Great.
Yeah. And I think ultimately we decided not to extend
Okay,
the
I wondered
period
about
because,
that.
I think there's 7, they seem to be 7 pretty good proposals. So,
Mhm.
it would have been one thing if we had been left with 4,
Mhm.
right.
something like that. But, I think we have a critical mass, especially considering this year and the
Yeah.
circumstances.
Good. Excellent.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I would like to take a look at them for sure. I will certainly do that. Yeah. So I feel like, I have my task set for me, which is looking at those and also reaching back out to Jennifer Moldovian. Did I say her name right? Neely? At CHS, and reaching back out to Stacy about whether or not there's this idea of building on and extending at some kind of an art exchange between students has legs. And I'm just trying to organize my thoughts so I know what I need to report back on at our next subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, I think here, wait on those responses. I'm wondering, so Stacy has the contact for the teachers in Besançon? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And she's going to get those names. She's already making a list for me of the lead teacher on their side who really came forward and recruited students to participate and is very active. She's been to Charlottesville. She came a couple of years ago during the last set of student exchanges with CHS. I did not meet her personally, but she's very much still active and I'm sure interested. And so we've got somebody on their end already who's, I hope, is going to be interested in keeping something going.
I'd imagine so. That'd be fabulous. So yeah, if you can get those contact Secure and maybe even generate a discussion around this topic. I think that the next time we meet, we can have a good sense of what type of connecting project could take place with regard to these sister cities and art collaboration, either virtually, probably virtually.
Yeah.
I just remembered something, Kate. I'm back on the Weiwei thing. Our Spanish teachers, our Spanish 2 teachers, like 2 years ago, did this whole like PBL with a TPRS novel. I'm talking in Spanish lingo because I think you know it, but like they did a TPRS novel, Esperanza, which takes place in Guatemala, and we tried to do like a authentic project-based learning experience around that. And man, that would fit perfectly with like what we want to do with that sister city. So that might be
What school is that?
CHS.
Oh, CHS.
Yeah, we did that at CHS with, I believe it was in Spanish 2, I'm pretty sure. And one of the teachers who worked on it, 2 of them are still there and they really liked it. And so I don't think we're doing that novel this year because, you know, limited time and we picked some other things, but like if we're back in person, we would definitely be interested in doing that again. And that might be something they like at that half-day PL, they might just decide to build something out with that, you know?
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
We were looking for authentic audiences and it was like really hard to find.
Hey, we got one now.
I studied in Guatemala for like a summer and even with that, like I couldn't find like a good audience. So
Oh man. All
Great.
right. Well, that could be fun. Yeah, I think that if we get enough teachers together who really want to make this type of thing happen, that would be awesome.
yeah.
Sweet. If you want to, I don't know, send them a message and be like, hey,
Yeah.
we might have a friendship city eventually if this all goes through and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely plant the seed at least and say, hey, I was talking at Sister City about you guys and
Nice.
this opportunity.
Yeah, and Joan, who I'm not sure where she is, but she's a Spanish teacher in the city. So I'm hoping that she can jump on board with this too, because she's on our committee and she's a Spanish teacher. So it kind of would be ideal. So hopefully she can join us as we start to plan that out.
Yes, I hope so. I need to connect with her. I haven't seen her in a little bit, but
So, all right. So I guess Damon and Kate, was there anything else that either of you are coming into the meeting today hoping we would address?
I didn't have anything else to add other than
Okay.
our conversation.
Okay.
Discuss some pretty cool things today. I think that we have a lot of stuff coming up, and especially, hopefully as we move toward a more open, less this, we can start to really develop these connections for our schools. But
Thank you so much for picking up the ball on the ISS thing. And
oh yeah, that was fun. Matt is a pleasure to work with. So that was super fun to organize, and he really, give him the credit for organizing the thing with the Paramount and the Virginia Film Fest, because that was not me. I'll let you guys know as soon as I hear from NASA. I will let you guys know what the verdict is. There's also the possibility that it might not be during the film fest, and it might be a little bit sooner or later, sooner too. So, which is fine. But so we'll see.
If the film fest ends up being virtual again this next year, it doesn't really matter whether it happens during the film fest or not. You know what I mean? I mean, it was just a very, very different experience this past year, because there were no actual live events happening. So
Hopefully it's not in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Film fest is typically in October.
Late October, early November, depends.
Yeah.
I mean NASA. Hopefully they want to do it.
I made it so that I blocked out this. I made it so like the goal, it had to be, so it can only happen on weekdays. And I really wanted to make sure that school was in session then, because ideally we'd like teachers to take part. And if it's at the Paramount, having schools organize the trip there. So yes, it is definitely when school is in session. So no worries.
Excellent. Excellent. Sounds great.
Well, if that's the case, this was super productive. Thank you for.
Thank you. And you, Kate, you've been typing away, or you'll kind of add our stuff in. Is that right?
It's in there. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
It's in there.
To the minutes.
Tried to document everything as best I could. But yes, it is in there.
Thank you.
And at our next meeting, we can bring it up, discuss, share with the group and stuff.
And our next meeting, if we're going to do quarterly, will probably be February, March, April sometime.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
So
that
yeah,
sounds good.
but we'll hang out before then. We got monthly meetings, so
All
it'll be
right.
cool. David, are you sticking around for the finance?
Oh yeah, I'm sticking around for that.
All right.
I don't want to miss the fun.
Oh, I know.
The
Mike's
finance.
done all the work already. So.
Yeah, really.
Oh, well, Neely, Elizabeth, if you want to hang out for finance committee, you're more than welcome to, but I understand if you would like to. So
Thank you.
Someone's
All right.
hungry.
Communities person.
I know. Can you hear my dog? So sorry about that. I'll mute
I like
myself
those.
now.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sarah.
all. And Neely,
See you later.
I'll look to hear from you about the other contact at CHS.
Yes, yes.
Whoever it is. Yeah.
Email you. It's a French teacher, but I'll email you her.
Okay,
information.
no problem. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
trying
Thanks,
to,
Kate.
thank you.
Facilitating and taking notes.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm trying to find. So Michael put together that amazing Google spreadsheet that has everything on it, which
Yes.
honestly, like Terry sent me, I was all confused about a budget proposal thing because that's has not been my business ever. But
Yeah.
let's see. I'm gonna try to find though a so one thing we need to think of is city rep discretionary funds. That's something that it's been brought up before. Like we won't know until April if was it
Right.
April? I don't.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
April, yeah. So we won't know until then if we are going to have funding for that or what. I mean, it's and also like with a budget proposal, we can work on stuff today. We don't like it's. I don't know. We're not doing anything other than funding grant travel at the moment.
Pretty much.
So it could be something where we, we talk about what funding needs might be, but not necessarily set a proposal until we know from city council what we may or may not be receiving as a committee. Which I don't know, because I don't want to put together a whole proposal and then find out that we, are not getting money from the city as a result. So,
Right.
and
And
so I
this budget is for this year,
think-
the calendar year, or is it just through this fiscal year?
Kina, do you know the answer to that?
I mean, I guess we could wait 2 minutes to start our meeting.
I do believe the budget still follows the fiscal year.
So this budget we're talking about is the 2021 budget.
So the funds that are requested for, I guess the 15,000 would be deposited or they would be transferred over to sister cities as of July 1st if they're approved. So then that would be for the fiscal year.
So for the 21-22 fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
Yes.
'Cause I
So
I just
what's in
wanted to
there
make sure
now-
that was. that's
What's
what
in
we-
there now is will carry you through the end of June.
Okay.
And really, I can't think of anything else that we're putting money into. I know that Dave was asking about the discretionary funds for Winneba at one point, which I don't think we've given any discretionary funds to any of our cities this past year because they haven't really done much, but
Right.
That's a new term for me, actually. I hadn't heard discretionary funds.
apparently that was something, so Terry mentioned it. Well, Dave mentioned it first, and then Terry mentioned that it was about $1,000 a year as discretionary funds for each of the city reps available to them.
Oh, okay. For each city.
For each city for
Okay.
funding either travel or, materials or whatever being transferred. And so,
Right. Was that fund, I guess those funds were what was proposed by one of our former members to you. It was the previous Winneba rep.
oh, Nana,
Sorry, I don't remember his name.
Nana,
that
No, it wasn't Nana. It was the person, the previous.
Justin.
oh,
Oh.
Justin, yeah,
Mhm.
Okay. I
yeah,
remember on the one meeting I attended before we closed out, he had, I think, suggested using his funds that he had available for Winneba to use for the travel of the people coming up, which is now in May. I mean, I think if I'm remembering correctly, I was also brand new then, so it could be he was suggesting funds. We didn't ever go that route, but he had, I believe, made that offer or suggestion of using his discretionary funds for travel.
Mhm. And I don't
Anyway.
see where there would be any need to necessarily kind of enact what's been done before. It's up to you all if you want to just start fresh and do something new, or if you think that is a good practice. That'd be something for you all to discuss. But I know that in the past, some of those funds have been used for postage when there have been large items to ship to Winneba.
Right.
Not sure what else as far as discretionary, but that comes to mind was the postage.
Okay.
okay.
I wonder if the discretionary funds were, and they're based on each city, right? I mean, in the past.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So I guess each city would have, I don't know, could they have used it? I guess if it's discretionary, they can use it for most anything that connects to their sister city, I presume. I'm just thinking, could they potentially use that for a local event that they want to kind of coordinate or help support?
I
That
think
was
so.
related to their city?
I think so.
Sounds
And
like.
at one point, there were festivals and things going on that, there might be a registration fee for one event or another, and that, that person would have discretion to use the funds for a registration or for supporting maybe a donation to the event or something, or buying supplies for the event. So being that we haven't had a lot of that lately, we just hadn't incurred that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's something to consider possibly for this next fiscal year. I don't think there's
Right.
going to be anything in the next few months that we would need to do, at least not that I'm aware of. But yeah. Hey, Michael.
Hello.
All right.
So we were just talking about the budget proposal and considering the fact that we don't know if we're going to have funds allocated to our committee until April, which makes this a challenge, creating a budget proposal when we don't know what our budget will be.
Right.
But I think that this is a good opportunity for us to take a look again at that, at the spreadsheet that you developed, and just kind of go through the numbers a little bit and sort of maybe discuss, I don't know, and you guys can let me know what you think, but I don't think it's wise for us to come up with a budget proposal for the next fiscal year until we know our allocated funds. It just doesn't seem to make sense. But at the very least, knowing where we're at right now so that we can best prepare for the outcome of city council's decision. Does that sound?
Yeah, I have been focusing mostly on just trying to track past encumbrances that we still had outstanding. And Damon, thank you for chiming in on some of that. I don't have it in here yet, but I do have your emails and also from the grants committee about which ones might still be outstanding. I think we said there's about $8,000, not 20,000 that's pending.
Mhm.
The only expenses that I know of coming up outside of this, I looked at the Wix hosting again. That's about $200 a year, and that comes due in May. The last year was paid on a credit card by a Cliff. I don't remember his last name. I assume they got reimbursed for that. But that's the only thing I know of that's coming up. So if we decided to do something with Stacy's site and do some hosting, there'd be a little bit of extra charge for that, but you know, probably less than $200 a year.
I imagine so. What website is our website run off of? Is there is it a Squarespace type thing, or is it something?
It's something called Wix.com,
Wix.
W-I-X.
Mhm.
Cliff Maxwell paid for it last year.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they're a hosting site, and I think I can't remember if they were the one that got bought up by Microsoft, but they're one of these, you know, host your blog, your photo site, whatever there. I think it's all built on one of their templates, so it would be difficult to try and switch it over to somebody else. But their prices seem reasonable. So
Fine. I'm just curious about Stacy's, and would it be something that would we include it as a link to our site, or would we just fund her site as is?
either could work. I mean, so when you sent the email, I was assuming that we were talking about like copying the content over to a new hosting provider, transferring the domain. That is probably, it's possible technically. I don't know how complicated it would be because I don't know what our current hosting provider is. But yeah, we could also just cut a check and say, you know, here's $200, $300 towards hosting for your site. I don't know if she wants to maintain the site and code and all that stuff or not.
Because I mean, what we could do is just make her it could just be a link from our site, she clicks the if we're on the grant page and we just click it, it'll take us directly to that. It could be a part of our website, which would be free, or I guess it would be at extra cost.
So that there is a link in the new, it was a 2018, 2019, I think. Yes, I did put a link here that goes to her site as it is right now. But that's all there is so far.
Yeah. So I mean, we could I don't know, we could talk to her about we could help, I think we would need to discuss this with the rest of the commission if we were to fund her website outright. But another thing we could do is just have it be a link within our own website and, transfer it in that sense.
Right.
And that would be no cost for us.
Right. And so we're already premium. So what I was looking at, you can do a create new site if we wanted to host it. Oh, it was this one. and transfer the domain and everything over. And then if we get the site code from her with whatever system she built it with, it is possible to host it here in the same dashboard as our stuff. That might get cumbersome if we end up with more than one or two of these. People that have created secondary websites with content on them that we're going to take over for some period of time.
Yeah.
So
I think in the meantime, though, since it's something we're already doing, I don't think it would be a big thing. And if anyone else makes a website for their project, you know, maybe down the road, that's something we consider, or maybe, you know, we create a web space for our grants, for our grant recipients to contribute. And it's a one-stop shop for all that stuff, which is our objective anyways, for folks to learn as much as possible about all the great things we do. So for the community. And all of the great grant programs that have resulted from these sister city partnerships. So I think that, you know, for the time being, you know, including her as a part of this would be a pretty easy thing to do. And then, yeah. It
so
sounds
something more than just a link right
I mean,
now.
it could
or-
be that she already has some.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add, it could be she does have some ideas already in regards to a future home for her site, but it sounded like it was definitely at least, you know, up in the air. And, you know, the idea of like paying a couple $100 a year for someone's website to continue, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if we want to get into the business of annually funding, you know, other people's sites, because if we do it for one person and one project, then we need to start, we kind of, you know, I think we create an expectation of doing it for others. But, you know, I was just thinking, if it is something that she is interested in, having a home on her page somehow, and we can do it with none or minimal, you know, cost, then, you know, it seems to be worth considering. But at some point we should ask her if it's something she is interested in, because I haven't, and she might not be interested, and it could be that, you know, we're just going through a nice practice of thinking things through. But I think it's a nice, I think it gives something to us if we have the ability to provide a home for kind of, you know, completed programs or projects at a minimal cost. If that's, you know, it's at least worth looking into, I think.
Yeah. Housing them within our own website would be no additional cost. So I agree with you, Damon. I don't think that funding website fees is a good use of our money. So I think that maybe coming up with a plan where like, you know, creating, like, if our grant recipients want to create their own website, then that's, you know, that's their thing. But maybe submitting like images and a write-up or something that we can include within our own website would be a great way for us to share that as well. And we could link to whatever website they want to make separately. Or they can include within their grant requests that funding for maintaining their website.
Yeah.
Right, for 2 years or 3 years, you know, some finite length of time.
Well, and another thing just for us to think about is right now, Michael is on the commission and he's got skills. We might not have those skills forever. And, you know, it could be there's a time when we don't have a person with the technical abilities that Michael does.
Right.
I mean, we might all be gone by then, but anyway, you get my point. We might not always be able to do this.
So that, I mean, that does bring up what Brian had talked about, that we're one of, if not the only commission that has our own website. And there is a potential for possibly moving it over to be on a page of the cities, but we would have to negotiate our creative control and rights and responsibilities and all sorts of things about that. So the communication and outreach subcommittee kind of said, well, we'll kick that can down the road a little bit. We've got a perfectly fine site right now. We don't have to do anything with it, but that is one way that we could kind of address that concern, is then some of those updates would be on the city staff. But you probably wouldn't be able to get them as quickly or as frequently as having somebody on the CSCC commission. So options.
Mhm.
I'm writing everything we're doing here on our note sheet so I don't forget.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Let's see. All right. So did we get enough proposals that we think we'll have 4 grants?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. So
It's 7 proposals, and it's a good selection of proposals in there. So I believe, I don't know, and Damon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling we'll be able to find some really great opportunities within those.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just looking at the executive summary that Amanda created, I think there's some very good ideas, and I think in the end we might regret only having $16,000 that we're planning on spending. But
That's
so
good.
yeah, I feel good about it. And again, I think, I forget who commented, but I maybe it was Dave. I think 7 in a year like this compared to 8 last year, when people are much more able to have a vision for travel and doing things, is having 7 proposals, I think is a pretty good win.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Mhm.
Honestly, like that was,
Yeah.
and the quality of the proposals too, like they were really well thought out. I think, I don't know, it was a struggle when we had a meeting, like the day before the due date or whatever. So it was,
Yeah.
it was hard to get a true sense. I know that, I think I mentioned that every grant I've ever applied for, I wait until the last minute. So,
I mean,
yeah, as do we all. So, yeah. But that being said, I do think that we will reach probably that 16,000 threshold. Is the cutoff 16,000?
I think that's just
I mean,
what we all agreed to, but we could just as
Right.
easily decide to do differently if we felt motivated. I mean, I presume that our committee would need to, well, I guess it would be the grants committee that would come to the finance committee, which is kind of all of us anyway.
Yeah, I know. So I know, I don't know what we've done in the past with that. Because I mean, I think maybe we cross that bridge when we get there, perhaps, and really look to see if, I don't know, if that's something we really need to discuss.
Mhm.
Because I believe most of the proposals are for close to 4,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
okay.
No, I lied. So,
I mean, we can take a closer look, and if it really does, if it really does seem like we want to go beyond 16,000, the grants committee should talk about that. I mean, it's good to know. I guess Kate and Michael, you're not on the grants committee, actually, are you?
no, I'm just a fan. But
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually good. I mean, I think that might be helpful. Because it brings in a wider group of people, should we think that we do want to potentially go beyond 16. And it's good to know that y'all are open to the prospect you know,
Yeah. No,
and we have our meeting coming up, you know, pretty soon,
yeah, in
the 9th, which
2
is,
weeks. So yeah, soon. So yeah, maybe good. I mean, I plan on being at that meeting anyway. I think, you know, it's good to have
sure,
a lot of folks involved in that process and discussing
absolutely.
that. So yeah, but yeah, we'll see. But I envision, I mean, I truly think that our only spending is over the next few months between now and June is probably just going to be for these grants. And then for the grants that are, so those are outstanding commitments, are this, that $20,000 is for last year's grants. Is that correct?
And that was an estimate. And so what I think it actually was that 8,000 number, or possibly less. So let me pull this over.
I actually think you're right. I think the only payment really that we made for last year's grants was to Ms. Anderson, I believe, for her travel for Winneba. So I don't recall processing other payments for grants. I know there are several from last year. Do you know if that deadline was extended for those projects?
I believe it was. I know that we reached out, or Amanda reached out to last year's grant recipients to see if the understanding was that if they still intended on continuing with their proposal and with their plans in this coming year, that we would still offer funding. So I think that's the plan. Now, after, you know, I don't know what international travel is going to look like this summer, or what, so I don't know if we're going to be doing another extension, or I would imagine, I mean, I would imagine that we would want to make sure that these ideas were seen through. But yeah, I believe that we extended it for everybody who
I
said that they
think that was back in October, because I do remember we had a vote on it, and we all kind of said, yeah, this is a special year, so.
Yeah. So I think we were just waiting to hear back from a grant recipients if their project could still even happen, knowing that you know, the time frame is going to be different and stuff. But I think we've heard back from most folks saying that they that it still could happen. So as far as we know, that money is still has a place to go eventually, maybe.
Yeah. So with the information that we got this week, I think this becomes. So we would actually be a lot better off than we had thought, because we put a large placeholder number there.
Nice.
So if we do want to vote or hear a request on extending the 16,000 number, we could do that. Obviously, it'd be best if we did that after the FY21 appropriation, if we got that, but we should be able to handle it no matter what this year.
Yeah, well, let's see how the grants meeting goes, because I'm also looking through this. Like, one of the proposals doesn't even have a budget attached to it. So, like, let's go through them first. And like,
I think, wasn't that one added, or I think I recall that Amanda was going to pursue getting that. It might be an attachment separate, possibly.
I can take a peek.
Or it could be she never got it. I remember her saying that she was going to follow up and try and get that piece. That it wasn't clear to me if it was accidentally not included, or if they simply did not do a budget.
Let me take a look.
And it could be she never got it.
I don't see it in here.
Okay, well, that might
So-
simplify it a little bit.
So that being said, and some of these are also not at the limit. Most of them are close to the $4,000 limit or at it. But yeah, I'd say, let's, I don't know, don't make it a, like, let's not say like, ooh, we can spend more, but make it a thing where it's like, if we're at a point where it's like, we have some really great
Mhm.
ideas, then maybe going back to it and voting again as a commission the following meeting to open it up.
Right, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
cool. Nice. Well, it's nice to know we have a little more money than we thought.
Definitely.
And I think as far as the discretionary funds go, let's save that until we know what our funding is from the city. And if we do get a request for something in particular, such as postage or whatever, I know that Dave in particular was interested in that for Winneba. And I know Nana's going to be joining us at our next meeting. That can be something that, the commission votes on if it's something that we really do need to contribute to. This looks good. This is
Yeah, and that could go for any city. I mean, if there's a need out there and it's not that great, I mean, we could always have, instead of like assigned $1,000 per city, it could be, more of
Yeah.
a pool.
I put a placeholder here for programs and travel just in general.
Mhm.
I didn't know what, if anything, should be budgeted there, but I think it would kind of make sense to have a standard amount that is, each program or each sister city gets a certain amount to kind of foster that relationship, cover postage, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yep. That's something for us to consider too. I think it was $1,000 a year before for our cities.
Okay.
Obviously not including Pleven this time. But
Right. Just let me take that one out.
Wasn't there, though, communication in the grant proposal time from someone interested in a Pleven exchange?
we had one last year. Let me take a look here.
I thought I saw some follow-up on that this year. I don't believe there's actually a grant proposal there for it. But, I mean,
I don't no,
maybe we leave Pleven in there without any money attached to it.
I agree. I don't think, let's not make a plan to fund or contribute to that partnership since it's emeritus, but open up the possibility if there is something really amazing that sparks our interest to leave it open.
So then, including if we, this was a placeholder for announcements and marketing materials. It can obviously be lower, but right now, if we take all these kind of guesses, it leaves us with 16K at the end of the year.
Mhm.
Assuming everything gets paid out right away.
So that leaves us with 16 for the following year if everything is spent out.
Yep.
So that being said, those discretionary funds are something that I think, we need to wait on until
Mhm.
we know for sure what's happening.
That does put things into perspective, though. If we don't get funding this year, what that means for our grant program in future years.
And it's something that we need to think about too with, other sister city programs, because Damon, as you recall, it was kind of like, I remember Fred thought it was kind of weird that we were going through city and city council for this. And a lot of it is like fundraising efforts and stuff like that. I believe in other sister city programs. Actually, in other sister cities, it's like it's a funded like it's, I
Like
don't
a
know.
nonprofit.
Yeah, so it could be something where, you know, we do look at alternative sources of funding.
Yeah.
If need be.
Mhm.
Or look at, you know, places like the Charlottesville Winneba Foundation or the Ishtan Foundation and sort of look at what they're doing and how we think about how we can help or take part. So,
Well, I do believe that we provide a lot of benefit to the community, and I think the city will see that and want to continue the work
Yeah.
that we're doing. But
yeah,
still, it's always a good idea to be thinking about the what ifs and, you know, where we will go if that were to happen, or a reduction, you know.
yep, for sure. I think that's it's a good place to be, is just prepared. But this looks real organized, real straightforward. Thank you so much, Michael, for doing this.
Oh, sure. I was happy to steal it from my coworker. Should I reduce or eliminate these then with what we just talked about?
Let's take them out for now, and then let's revisit once we know what the what city council decides.
Okay. And I dropped the miscellaneous down to 200.
We're
So
not
that
doing
might
anything
be-
now anyway. That's fine. I think maybe at some point it'd be cool if we did have some sort of marketing stuff that we could pass out at events, but since events don't exist right now, maybe it's just good to
And
allow.
some of the things that we had talked about with Brian late last year with announcing the grants and stuff like that involved some outlays of cash to do things like put mailers out in the utility bills and other things, but I don't think any of those actually happened.
Mm-mm. No, it was something we thought about too with when we were doing the Wayway event at and like voting on a Spanish speaking sister city. That was one idea we had, was putting stuff in things that were being mailed out, but the online version was just a lot cheaper. And so
Yeah.
we sought otherwise. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if we don't do any programs in travel and don't get any appropriations and pay out every single grant from last year and this year, then we'd still have enough next year to do at least probably a reduced set of grant funding. But if we still wanted to keep at the 16,000 level, we could one more year before really being tapped out.
And also, we can also ask again to reallocate funds to us. This isn't our only one opportunity to do that. So if it doesn't go through this time around, then there's always the opportunity to try again so that we can expand that amount that we're able to work with for these grants. So, yep. But that sounds good.
Thanks for all your fantastic work on that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Kina, do people where Cliff paid for the Wix hosting, do they reach out directly to you and submit a reimbursement request, or how does that work?
Yes, the
Okay.
receipts from the treasurer just are forwarded to me and we process a reimbursement.
Okay. All right.
So we just have to make sure that the chair and the treasurer are both in agreement that those funds should be reimbursed.
Right. They don't sneak in here, but yeah, I figure at a minimum, we're gonna end up paying the website hosting in May, so that may looks like it might be on a credit card.
And if that's an invoice that you could send to us, we could have a check cut just
okay.
through our office. If someone would rather not go through the reimbursement process, our office can have that processed.
Oh, okay, great.
Let's do that then. Michael, would you like to set up? I mean, I'm happy to draw an invoice, but either way.
I'll look through Wix and see what their options are. I assume it is possible to get invoiced. I just want to,
That'd be helpful.
Hey, Mike, while I'm looking at it, I just noticed that the equation in cell E19 also needs to be updated.
oh, yes,
The one to the, to the right, yeah.
and that's actually, yeah, it's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, this looks great. I think that we've covered some important points here today, and I think that moving forward, let's, in April, which is probably when we'll meet again as a subcommittee, we'll have a good sense then of our funding situation for the fiscal year and be able to figure out if these separate expenditures are feasible or not.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Yeah.
Definitely.
And
Thank you, public, all you viewers out there,
all of
all
you.
our fans.
Hey, there's Keisha.
Tina, thank you.
Hey, guys, great meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Move to adjourn or?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's log off. Get away from your computers for a little while.
All right.
See you
So
guys
moved.
again on the 9th.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.